First, it is a pleasure and an honor for me to be with you at this very important symposium. I would like to thank Sharik, Nancy, and their team for facilitating and organizing this event. My thanks extend to Indiana University, with special thanks to Lily Family School of Philanthropy for hosting this event. My name is Jasim Al-Najmawi. I am a research fellow at both CAS Business School, City University London, and TIAS School, a business school at University of Tilburg. I am not a scholar. I'm actually a practitioner. I have experience of more than 20 years in humanitarian field. I hold many senior positions in different NGOs in UK and in Qatar. I'm currently working in Qatar as a director of International Monitoring and Evaluation Department for one of the largest NGOs in GCC countries, Qatar Charity. My topic actually, it's about Islamic philanthropy. My initial interest it's about studying the phenomena, the rising of Muslim NGOs in GCC countries in the Middle East, with particular emphasis on the Qatari NGOs. And that's led me actually to the current topic. When I started to underpinning the foundation or the background of my research, I wrote a small section about Islamic philanthropy with my advice with my supervisor to extend that. When I went deep to the literature, I came with a finding which is striking me and surprising to me, that Islamic philanthropy is not being served well in the literature. So philanthropy within Muslim society should be studied from two angles. From the angle of individuals who practice philanthropy in every part of their life. And every Muslim knows that he practicing philanthropy every day. It's not only giving charity, giving money to the needy. Even smiling in the face of your brother, of humankind, this is a charity. Feeding your wife is a charity. Taking care of elder is a charity. And the other angle is charitable organizations who depend solely or almost on the donations and contributions of these individuals. So I'm going to quote from Amy Singer, actually in her book, Charity in Islamic Societies, that understanding this phenomena in terms of practice and ideals should be analyzed based on religious and historical context. And this is what's missing actually on the writing, the publication on Islamic philanthropy. They miss this point. So Amy said that the ideals and practices of charity have been virtually absent from historical discussions of Islamic societies, despite the fact that they permeate the experience of Muslims past and present. Since 9/11, there are intentionally or unintentionally attempts to link between charity giving and violence among Muslims. And we heard yesterday the presentation has been given to us mentioning about this. So understanding of Islamic philanthropy necessitates a move from studying the phenomena through the lens of first-in philanthropic trajectories to one identifying the role of philanthropy based on a wider, more culturally and theologically nuanced understanding of the motives and practice of Islamic philanthropy. So the background of this research, actually, when I looked at the literature, that most of the literature on philanthropy is based on the experience. Philanthropy in either North America or Europe with their particular cultural dimensions and Christian traditions. There are some comparative studies which highlight cultural differences, but do so from such a Western perspective. And other research on philanthropy is undertaken within specific groups or regions or countries in the Christian West. The majority of studies focus on the United States as geographic, then followed by United Kingdom, Netherlands, Canada, and so on. While the literature on the Islamic philanthropy I found is very limited. Over the last 20 years, a small number of key academic articles have been published in mainstream academic journals. When I'm talking about mainstream academic journal, I'm talking about journals for non-profit, like the non-profit and voluntary sector quarterly, talking about Voluntas, talking about International Journal of Non-Profit and Voluntary Sector Marketing, and so on. Actually, I came only to these articles published in these mainstream journals. most of the analysis, actually, even what has been published, is focused on awqaf rather than the other models of Islamic philanthropy. While the comprehensive studies on Islamic philanthropy actually is produced by Muslim scholars, but it's presented in Islamic conference and journals, and which is little known in the West. So this lack of diversity in the existing literature led to misunderstanding and misinterpreting of how cultures and faiths approach philanthropy, including that of Islamic philanthropy. My proposition in this paper is that most Western philanthropy and voluntary sector studies have not fully appreciated the theological influences or faith dimensions that are crucial to any understanding of the role and practice of Islamic philanthropy. The research contribution is an attempt to fill this gap by exploring philanthropic acts and principles within the Islamic faith, cultures, and Muslim traditions. Its analysis in this paper intended to guide both scholars and practitioners concerned with international philanthropy in general and Islamic philanthropy in particular through the research and alternative perceptions of the dimensions and drivers of such philanthropic giving and the wider implications. So the paper aims to do two things: redress the balance and add the understanding on both scholars and practitioners in international philanthropy by focusing on Islamic philanthropy. The second aim is identifying the different elements of Islamic philanthropy and offering an overview of the different perspectives on the background and context which has shaped modern approaches to Islamic philanthropy giving. Paper provides three things: underpinning analysis of the different dimensions of Islamic philanthropy by providing a general typology of the different approaches and practices commonly used across the Muslim world. The second one is characterized with a historical analysis of how Islamic philanthropy has evolved. And finally, a review of some current literature on the different dimensions of Islamic philanthropy. The paper is actually based on extensive literature review using different sources, including academic databases, online full text collection, publisher, personal publications, and citation, etc. So I will go very quickly through the typology because it has been mentioned in a previous presentation. We have in Islamic faith, we have 7 types of philanthropy. They are zakat, sadaqah, which is voluntary almsgiving, awqaf, and they call it ahbas. North African countries, they don't call it awqaf, they call it ahbas. And we have the fidya and kafara. I don't know if this is very clear to you. When someone, he miss a prayer or does something wrong as a Muslim, he should give to the needy or try to distribute money or other type of charity. Neither of something imposing an act of philanthropy upon oneself. If my son is going to succeed, I'm going to distribute $1,000 to the needy, and so on. And we have the sacrifice, which is the udhiyah and the aqiqah. Is an obligation for all mature Muslims. And the last one is no longer exists actually in current days, the kharaj and fay. Kharaj is a land tax imposed on the lands when we conquered by Muslim state or Islamic state. When they conquered other land, they put this 10% imposed as a tax. While the fay is the property or the money coming from the enemy without war, without fighting. The number 7 no longer exists. So any analysis of Islamic law needs to reflect the different dimensions and dynamics associated with these different models, and can be at 2 levels: at personal level as the individual donations, or almsgiving as a religious obligations or in recompensation, and at a national level through the charitable institution, including NGOs and MPOs. I'm going to go very quickly through the historical perspective, because it's not my aim to give you a thorough explanation or a thorough view about the historical perspective, but I'll go very quickly. So Islamic philanthropy and approach to organized giving associated with have had existed actually since the dawn of Islam. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, practiced and encouraged his companions to practice philanthropy, and he is considered as a model of charity giving among the Muslims. The first obvious actually charity, or let's say awqaf, system. It is the building of his mosque. And many, I think, people, they are not recognizing this. It is the first philanthropic work. It is the building of his mosque. So his mosque is a waqf. The current mosque in Medina, it is a waqf. Islamic sets policy and base philanthropy. And this is the criteria I quoted from this scholar. All ownership is a trust given by Allah. Therefore, people who are less fortunate have part of the poverty rise from others who are more fortunate. Wealth must be rotated and should not be stockpiled. So all earnings from accumulation of state resources such as zakat, sadaqat, etc. should be gathered and then spent in accordance with the needs of the states. The disbursements are then allocated to different sectors, which include taking care of those in need and distressed people. This policy has been continued. The Prophet's successors, the four caliphs and the states followed by the Abbasi and the Umayyi and the Mamluki until the Ottoman Empire. So Islamic charitable giving and philanthropy continue to develop, and there are many cited examples of local philanthropists who founded and established endowments to help the poor and needy wayfarers. And there is a time when there is a decline of awqaf and zakat system. This started on the 19th century when the Ottoman state took control of such land and institution of awqaf. Then after the First World War, when the Ottoman Empire collapsed, zakat collection stopped collected by the state. Majority of awqaf put under the control of governments. Then Islamic world actually entered a dark age, famines, poverty, spread, zakat distributed on local community level, not nationwide. Then we have a recovery period. It started in the 1950s and 1960s when NGOs and civil society established in different Muslim countries. Then the discovery of the oil in many Muslim countries, it changed the life, economy, and lifting up the living standards. New laws has been put to assist in recovering, preserving, and developing awqaf. And since the early 1990s, many new NGOs, private foundations, and civil society organizations have been established in Muslim countries. In the last 10 years, I can assume that it showed the rise of many Muslims, MPOs with a huge contribution. So I come to the last part of my paper, which is Islamic philanthropy in the literature. Actually, the literature is very limited on Islamic philanthropy. As I mentioned, there are a small number of key academic articles have been published in the mainstream academic journals. And most of these published focus on awqaf or waqf. Comprehensive studies, I said, studies published by Muslim scholars presented Islamic conference and journals and is little known to the non-Muslims. While the studies published by non-Muslims scholars, they have three main characters. They explain the phenomena through the Western lens. They either ignore or misinterpret the genesis and theological roots of Islamic philanthropy or fail to draw on the original sources of Islamic Sharia. And we need to acknowledge that some of the original textbooks have not been translated into other language, especially English. I divided the current literature on Islamic philanthropy into main four groups. Authors who have studied the original sources of Islamic philanthropy, and authors who rely on the work of other researchers with only limited assessments of the authenticating of the sources, of the validity of the evidence on which this assessment is based, and authors who depended on both Muslim and non-Muslim scholars who write on Islamic philanthropy. And the last group, the Muslim scholars who use original sources but are mainly published in Islamic journals, with a few exceptions. Only I find one article which has been published by Muslim scholars by Kalim and Ahmed. So relying on secondary sources and lack of analysis of original text will definitely lead to some inherent misinterpretation as to the nature of the Islamic philanthropy. So to enhance this claim, I stopped at 3 examples, which a work has been published by 3 scholars. The first one, which is McChesney work, The Charity and Philanthropy in Islam, utilizing the call to do good. It is an essays on philanthropy for Robert McChesney, published by Indiana University Center on Philanthropy in 1995. It is an attempt by Western scholars to shed light on the misconceptions that Islamic philanthropy faced in America. It reflects how the source of information available for public in that time, in this case, Christian Science Monitor, can produce and reproduce its views of Islam. The author succeeded in drawing on one original source, Holy Quran, by referring to different verses and sayings that show how deep philanthropic acts within Islamic faith. Although the author attempted to present a good image of Islam, but his study has several limitations. The first one, this study focused on waqf, with only limited references to role of zakat and sadaqah in Islamic philanthropy. The author's analysis also suggests that Islamic philanthropy was built upon and benefited from other cultures, specifically Christian, Byzantine, and Sasanian, the Persian cultures. However, no research or evidence is cited to support his propositions. The analysis fails to explore the early stage of Islamic State, and this is the missing part of his study. It fails to explore the early stage of Islamic State during the Prophet's time, when the Waqf was established, including the Prophet's mosque, as we mentioned. Although the author acknowledges that Islam emerged in a world in which a number of traditions of philanthropy already exist, he fails to explore the development of Waqf in his historical tradition. So, this is a conclusion to my conclusion and my notes about this study. The second one is very, very important and influential book, which is Bentham and Billion Jordan's book, The Charitable Crescent, Politics of Aid in the Muslim World. This is a very influential. It is cited by more than 200. Only few whom challenge. I think I came only one author who tried to make a brief review, and he called for other scholars to counter the findings and what Bentham and Billion Jordan claim in their book. The author's primary conclusion is that such aid and philanthropy is inherently political. So they try to connect that every Muslim charitable organization have a political agenda behind its work. This is the general claim in their book. My conclusion that the fundamental problem with this book is thus embedded in the author's desire to use Muslim charities as a case to prove the blanket posit that all humanitarian aid has a political dimension. The book ends up giving is very political interpretation of the existing and working of Islamic charities, strengthening the negative opinions that already exist in the West about these organizations. I will not go to the third because I have no time left, but I will go to the conclusion of my paper that Islamic philanthropy has not been well served in the literature. Although several articles are written, most of them concentrate on awqaf, which is just one aspect of Islamic philanthropy. Limitation scholarships are in part the failure to source the original sources of Islamic jurisprudence. This has led to non-Muslim scholars to misunderstand and misinterpret Islamic philanthropy. And the lack of in-depth critical and empirical studies have contributed to a lack of understanding of what is the purpose of Muslim giving in the 21st century and how it is motivated and delivered. And I call for further studies that needed to explore the principles, motives, values, and attitudes of individual Muslims that determine charity given in Muslim countries and communities. Understanding these factors will help to understand the nature and types of the Islamic non-profit organization, their strategies, the similarity and differences with those in non-Muslim countries. And finally, such studies will contribute definitely not only in the clearing the ambiguities circling Islamic philanthropy, but mostly they will ease the misconception and the friction between the Islamic world and the rest of the world. Thank you.